got a little bit of rain, and we have famous figures. It doesn't get any better than this. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Brenda Mader. I'm the director of the Hayes Arts Council, and get the incredible pleasure and joy of presenting famous figures here today. This is going to be exciting. We have 34 incredibly talented fifth grade students from across Ellis County, and I can't wait to not only share them with you, but to get to see a little bit of it myself. And this is a wonderful project that celebrates and promotes creative thinking, writing, research, memorization, theatrical embellishments, costumes and accents and props, and then memorization, and then the skills it takes to come out here, the skills and the confidence, the courage to put yourself out here in front of a large audience. That's pretty amazing. So what we have on this stage is 34 pretty amazing students. And these, most of them are 11, some might just be still 10. It's pretty mind-boggling when you think of the magnitude of what they are bringing here today. And it excites me to no end. And I know it will you guys as the day goes on. And these 34 contestants represent probably about 300 or better that started this project. Because since it's so popular, we can only have 2 contestants for each fifth grade classroom in Ellis County in order to have the project wrapped up by noon. So there are 2 representatives from each fifth grade classroom in Ellis County. And some of them had to work really hard to be the ones represented here, because it can be very competitive in some classrooms at some schools overall. But we're excited for that. And they will be put through the same sort of process, if you will, today that they were in their schools. There's a judging form that our judges, who I will introduce in a moment, will be working on independently. They are not working as a team. So we've got 4 different points of view, 4 different concepts of, where something is ranked. So we bring a lot of integrity to the project. And the scoring mechanism is 15 points for the material, the information they put together, the way it was structured into their script, because they're not really giving a speech, they're doing a performance as a character. So it's a little mini script, a little mini play, one-person play. And so that's what that 15 points is about. Then 25 points, the biggest chunk, because this is about the performing arts, is their presentation, their acting, their pacing, their timing, their movement, their use of the props, how they handled themselves on stage, their projection. That's that category. And then the final one is 10 points for their response to the impromptu questions, probably just one in most cases, an impromptu question, an open-ended impromptu question asked of the students after they finish their character, to allow that opportunity for the poise, the discipline, and the knowledge they've gained to just be part of what they share with you. So it won't last real long, and it's not meant to quiz them. It's meant to give them a chance for us to see how really talented and bright they are. Those scorings will be done on the sheets, and at the end of the competition, the way that they've ranked their first through 7, I take those back into the back room for each one of them, because they'll rank their top 7 in order. And every time a student received a first place ranking, I have a spreadsheet, I will give them 7 points. If they received a second, they get 6 points. Every time that happened for one of our 4 judges. Somebody who gets ranked 7th gets 1 point, but it's amazing how often even that 1 point from a 7th place makes the difference in somebody getting a trophy because maybe they were ranked different by somebody else. But it's a really good process for something that is very subjective. And those will be tabulated at the end. We'll be bringing everybody back out here and introducing them, who they are, their school, and their character. But that'll be the first time you hear it. Because also what's important to us is that today it's only about the character, the presentation, and what they are doing on stage. So you won't hear a student name mentioned, or a school, or even the community they come from, because this is an Ellis County-wide project. And the judges, the information they've had has been the list of their characters so they can follow along, but they don't have any information on school or student or community. And again, we bring as much integrity as you can bring to a project like this. And I do want to introduce our judges at this time, and should have done it while the lights were up, sorry guys. But maybe they'd rather be in the dark. But some people who are working very hard here today, I wouldn't want their job. I'd rather have this job than their job. But our first judge here on the end of the table is Linda Homan. Linda is a former board member of the Hayes Arts Council. She is also a retired educator, language arts, drama, forensics, directed lots of high school plays, and is a writer herself. We love having her here. Thank you, Linda Homan. She's been doing it for a number of years. Next to Linda is Mary Ann Thompson. Mary Ann Thompson, for many years, was the director of the Kansas Room at the Hayes Public Library. Mary Ann's a history wizard. She's got all kind of special degrees, does speaking and projects, but she's also a community representative on the university's Encore series, and so very much a patron and involved in the performing arts across our community. Next to her is Janice Lee. Janice is the current president. Oh, Mary Ann was also a past board member. Janice is the current president of the Hayes Arts Council and a former senator for our area. A senator who I can say proudly supported and advocated for the arts. Now our board president, and Janice also is a strong advocate and patron for all of the arts, the performing arts included in that, of course, across our community. And next to her is Alex Underwood. Alex is the director of vocal choral music programs for Hayes High School, and he's been at other schools over in Russell for some time. He's directed lots of musicals for Hayes High, other productions. The Summer Ad Astra Festival, is a performing artist himself. And so we're very happy to have him joining our ranks this year. Next to him is Deborah Creamer, the administrative assistant at the Hayes Arts Council, who serves as the timer, because we do watch the time on the students' presentation, not including the questions, but on their presentation. Information, again, which was shared with the schools in the early stages of this project. Working with me backstage today, I have two other Arts Council volunteers. Sharon Dreyer is a board member of the Arts Council. She's stage side, assisting with props, helped with the organization this morning. Ann Staub, an Arts Council volunteer, is also stage side, helping make sure everything is about the kids today, serving them, and she is a volunteer and helped with the check-in down there this morning. And of course, big props to B. Schmidt staff, Luke LeCount, and Mr. Keller, Troy, who's been here since early this morning, getting things going. They're up in the booth, making sure these mics all work well. And so I'm just grateful to everybody for helping make this possible. But I think we're ready for a show, so let's do this. I'm gonna go make sure contestant number 1 is ready to go. You guys sit back for one of the most fun, exciting mornings you could possibly have. Thank you all. And I did want to mention one thing before we bring out number 1. If anybody has family or friends that would like to watch this today, we did have available through the courtesy of Beach Schmidt and Tiger Media Network, this entire morning is being live streamed. If you go to the Hayes Arts Council's Facebook page, I think it's the second post on that page, we'll have the link. So if there's anybody that you want to text or email that to, wherever they live across the country or the world, they can watch what's happening here right now live. So if you want to send that message to anybody, you can do that. But we are ready for famous figure number 1, and when we get started, we want to hear it for number 1, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hold up. What are you guys doing on the soccer field? Well, I guess I can have a quick interview. Let me introduce myself, if you don't already know. Hi, my name's Cristiano Ronaldo, and here's how it all started. It began when I was born on February 5th, 1985 in Madeira, Portugal. I had to share a room with my 2 sisters and my brother because my parents had little money. But that didn't matter to me because I was dedicated to being a soccer player. When I was 12, I played for youth team in Libsyn. A lot of people thought I was too short to play, but that didn't stop me. I scored many goals and showed them what a shorty could do. Sadly, at the age of 15, I had to have heart surgery and my parents didn't think I could play. But I pushed through and earned the spot on the best team in the soccer club 2 years later. The thing about me that's different from other people is that I didn't go to college. And the reason is because my parents and I didn't have enough money and I wanted to focus more on soccer. Well, good thing I did, because now not only am I one of the best soccer players of all time, plays for AI Nasser, but I have a wife and kids of my own. Aside from that, I have a ton of awards. But if I went through all of them, it would take forever. But I'll say one for now. The Golden Shoe. That one trophy boosted my encouragement, and I've already won a bunch of tournaments, with me being one of the top scorers every time. Not to brag, but soccer is not the only thing I'm good at. Well, I am bragging. I'm good at everything, but not the point. We'll just talk about soccer for now. But in an interview, I got asked, what could you do to influence others? And I answered with, if you have focus and determination, anybody can achieve any objective or goal in life. And I mean anybody in this world, girl, boy, or both. And I influence people in person and on screens. And I donated to charity all the time and saved the 10-month-old boy from passing away. Also, I'm an ambassador for 3 major charities: Save the Children, UNC, and World Vision. Also, I sold off one of my most major trophies, Ballon d'Or, for $800,000 from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and sold off another one of my trophies for $83,000 to pay for a child's brain surgery. Like I say, talent without hard working is nothing. Well, I had to get going before my coach makes me run laps for my team to get out of water break. Be there in a minute, coach. Well, I had to get going. Before I do, gotta tell you this. I'm living in a dream I never want to wake up from. Come, coach.
What do you think that you'll be remembered most for?
Scoring goals, and like I said earlier, showing them what a shorty can do.
Thank you. How much fun is that?
Very fun.
And now it's famous figure number 2, J.K. Rowling.
Have you ever played Quidditch or attended Hogwarts? Do you know what a muggle is, or what they mean when they say, "You must not be named"? Well, in my imagination, stories like that come to life. You might know me by my pen name, J.K. Rowling, but I was born Joanne Rowling on July 31st, 1965 in Gloucestershire, England. My parents, Anne Vollant Rowling and Peter Rowling, had another daughter 2 years later named Dinah Rowling. When I was 9, I moved to the small town of Tuthill. One of the few things I didn't like about Tuthill was Tuthill Primary. My teacher, Mrs. Morgan, was very strict. She would seat students based on how smart they were. Bright students sat on the left, and students she called dim would sit on the right. On the first day, she gave us a test on fractions, but since I had never studied fractions before, I failed and had to sit on the right. But later, I would use these experiences to inspire how Professor Snape treated Harry. In 1983, I attended the University of Exeter, and I was a teaching assistant in Paris. But secretly, which I didn't tell anyone this, I only wanted to write. In 1987, I graduated and worked at Amnesty International. But my favorite part of the day wasn't when I was working, but when I was have lunch hour, because during that time, I could write, but I never did finish writing several novels. In 1990, I was taking a train to see my family, and I had an amazing idea. Harry Potter, a wizard who finds a secret wizarding world. And before long, my apartment became full of notes about this amazing idea. But later, in 1990, my world turned upside down when my mother died. So I packed up 3 boxes of Harry Potter notes and moved to Portugal to try to find peace. While in Portugal, though, I had a daughter named Jessica. But not long after that, I moved back to England. While in England, every time Jessica fell asleep, I would write. And finally, in 1995, I finished writing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. But before I shared it with anyone, I shared it with Dinah, who I had originally told my stories to, and she loved it. I knew I would have a better chance of getting my book published if I had an agent. So I sent the first 3 chapters to an agent, but he didn't want to read the rest of the book. Of course, this made me discouraged, but I couldn't give up. And finally, an agent named Christopher Little was excited to sell my book. This was great news. In 1997, I got a call that my book was on auction in America for who would publish it. And a few hours later, I got another call that my book had been sold to Arthur A. Levine for Scholastic for over $100,000. My book was such a success that by 2005, I had written 6 Harry Potter books, and every single one of them had gotten into the New York Times bestseller list. And everyone was going crazy for Harry Potter. The press called it Pottermania. In 2001, I met and got married to Dr. Neil Murray. And later, in 2003 and 2005, I had my son, David Gordon Rowling Murray, and my daughter, Mackenzie Jean Rowling. Finally, on January 11th, 2007, in Balmoral Hotel, I finished writing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and it got published a few months later in July. Although I have written since Harry Potter, I will not be writing any more fantasy, because it would feel like a betrayal to Harry and the millions of people he still entertains to this day.
Favorite book?
Probably Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It was just the peak of my career, so it obviously made things really great for me.
Excellent, thank you.
It's time for famous figure number 3, Helen Keller.
Oh, hi. I'm Helen Keller. I was just practicing for my next big speech. I can tell you a little bit about me if you want, but we gotta make it fast. Anne's waiting. My life started June 27th, 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. I have 3 older brothers and a younger sister, Mildred. My parents are Kate and Arthur Keller. They always said I was a bright baby when I was younger, smart, caring, and respectful. One night, my mom came to check on me, and she got no response. She got very nervous. She called the doctors, and they said I was very ill. That illness was a brain disease, and that brain disease left me blind and deaf for the rest of my life. After that, I was angry and mad, and life was hard. But my dad had had it with my behavior. Called the guy, and a few days later, Ann Sullivan walked through the door. Ann helped me read and write, and it was nice to know how to do all these things. But I was hesitant to talk. And one day she got tired of trying because it took me forever, years in fact. So she dragged me to a water pump and made me spell water. I did. First word I ever spelled. Everybody was proud of me. I was proud of myself. When I was 11, we found out I had to go to New York City for the Perkins School for the Blind. Perkins helped me read and write and talk even better. I learned even more words like doll and dog and other important words. When I came back when I was 13, I met Alexander Graham Bell. He helped me progress even further. We became really good friends after that. But my dad thought his help wouldn't last, so we just stuck with Ann for the rest of my life. When I was 22 in 1902, I published my first book, The Story of My Life. It was a hit. After that, by then, I was moved out with Ann and her husband in Connecticut. I was happy in Connecticut. They were good companions. But I was even more happy when one day I met the love of my life, Peter Fagan. He was a socialist. Through those years that we dated and we loved each other, I wrote 11 more books, and they were all a huge success. One day, he came to propose to me, and I said yes, of course. I was so happy. But when my parents found out, they forbade it. There was a law that if you were disabled, you could not get married. So that was hard for me. I never saw Peter again. But I was even more devastated. A couple years later, in 1921, my mom passed away due to a heart attack. It was hard losing her. But it was even more hard when I lost Anne a couple years later in 1936. But I was devastated to lose them both. But I was put out of my sadness 32 years later when I passed away in my sleep. Natural causes. I was remembered as the advocate for disabilities, which means if you aren't disabled, go for your dreams. Like I used to say, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Gotta go. Anne's waiting.
Who do you think was most important in your life in helping and supporting you?
Well, my life got a little more happy when Anne was around, so I would say she was really important. And she was a big help to make me get to the way I am now, my huge success with all my books.
And now it's time for famous figure number 4, Mr. Bob Ross.
Just add some happy little trees. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name is Bob Ross. I was born in 1945 in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was raised and lived in Orlando most of my life. I attended Elizabeth Forward High School. After 1 year of high school and being a carpenter with my father, I joined the United States Air Force. In the early 1960s, while I was stationed in Alaska, I took my first painting lesson at the United Service Organizations Club. In 1965, I married Vivian Ridge, who I had one child with named Steve Ross. Then I was unfaithful to and went on to marry Jane Ross until her tragic death. Finally, I married Linda Brown 2 months before my own death. I had 2 children. I entertained many and taught how to paint by making my own TV show on PBS called The Joy of Painting. I painted over 30,000 paintings, with most selling for over $10,000 each. My most expensive painting was titled Rowboat on the Beach, which sold for $95,000 in 1992, which is the same year it was painted. My quote, "We don't make mistakes, just happy accidents," has become very popular in the modern day. My career kept growing, with me establishing Bob Ross Incorporated to sell instructional books and videos. In 2017, using one of the books from Bob Ross Incorporated, I won the Independent Publisher Book Award for one of the best independently published books from throughout the world. Sadly, I passed away in 1995 from lymphoma, which is a cancer in the lymph node. It's led many people to wonder, why is the world so much more different these days? I think it's kind of I'm not here to beat the devil out of it. But anyways, it's all for this episode. Thank you for watching.
Do you have any regrets about your life?
Definitely cheating on Vivian Ridge.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
And now we're ready for famous figure number 5, Cleopatra.
Salam alaikum. Oops, sorry, wrong language. Hi, my name is Cleopatra the 7th Philopator, but you can call me Cleopatra for short. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt a long, long time ago, some might say, but I was actually only born 2,055 years ago, or January 69 BC. I was in the last series of pharaoh rulers. We were called the Ptolemies. The Ptolemies ruled over Egypt, Cyprus, and even parts of Libya for about 300 years. I ruled for about 22 years myself. I became queen at the age of 12. I showed skilled use of public communications and diplomacy. Did you know I can speak 9 different languages and read hieroglyphics? I can speak Egyptian, Greek, Ethiopian, Arabic, Syriac, Median, Parthian, and several other languages. I think people make me look absolutely beautiful in movies and other things like art, but this is not actually what I look like. I actually have long, curly brown hair and hazel-colored eyes. You know me, but don't you want to get to know my family? My father's name is Pharaoh Ptolemy XII. My mother's identity is still unknown. I had 4 children. Their names are Cleopatra Selene II, Caesarion, Alexander Helios, and Ptolemy Philadelphus. I played an important role in the Battle of Actium. I guess you could say I kicked some booty. But towards the end, Egypt was losing and I felt like I was letting my people down. So I committed suicide. I lured in an Egyptian cobra, better known as an ASP or aspic viper, and let it bite me. Oh, wow. I better get back now. Bye.
What do you think you'll be remembered the most for?
Probably my time ruling and how I married Roman soldiers.
She was underachieving.
It's time for famous figure contestant number 6, Princess Diana.
I'm ready for the AIDS Foundation, but I can't get it to you right now. I'm in Paris. I'll get it to you when I get back. Oh, blasted. These people want my money. I've got 2 children, a husband to take care of. I'll be there when I get there. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were here, or I would formally introduce myself sooner. Hi, I'm Diana Frances Spencer. You may know me as Princess Diana or Lady Di. I was born July 1st, 1961, in Sandringham, United Kingdom. I was born to Frances Shankine and John Spencer. I love dancing, art, and music. When I was younger, I lived at Park House with my parents that was rented from Queen Elizabeth. My parents got divorced when I was only 6 years old. It shattered my heart to pieces. I went to Riddlesworth Hall Boarding School and West Heath School. My parents enrolled me there because they didn't want me to go to public school. I went to Silverfield Private School for high school, dropped out of high school when I was 16. I was sent to finishing school in Switzerland. When I returned, I became a nursery school teaching assistant. I was a nanny and preschool teacher in my early 20s. I got paid $5 an hour to play with children, do laundry, and clean. I was also a kindergarten teacher in London. During this time, my sister was dating a man named Prince Charles. Their relationship did not work out, and I had a fancy for him. He invited me to his 30th birthday party, and we spent the night getting to know one another. Our relationship began, and we corresponded over the phone and through letters. After meeting only 13 times in person, he proposed, and we were married. I became Diana, Princess of Wales. There was a 12-year age difference between my new husband and myself. I got married to Prince Charles a couple days after my birthday. My wedding date was July 29th, 1981. I had 2 children by the names of William and Harry. My marriage to Charles was not a happy one. We had many struggles, and it is even said that he was forced to marry me by his father. Throughout my time as princess, I had many causes that I supported. I was the president for over 100 charity events. I was involved in the National AIDS Trust, the Royal Master Cancer Charity, and I worked at homelessness and poverty. I had many AIDS and HIV charities that I supported. My family was royalty, so the media was constantly taking pictures of us everywhere we went. This made me anxious, and I did not want to leave the palace. But that was not an option. I suffered from an eating disorder from all the stress of my life and depression. I spent many years alone trying to get through the pain. While driving through a tunnel in Paris, France on August 13th, 1997, my chauffeured car was chased by paparazzi trying to get a photo of me. Our car crashed into a pillar. I later died at a university hospital in Paris, France, at the age of 36. I died as a result of injuries from the crash. People today remember me as the People's Princess. My children worked to carry on my memory, but they were trying to work just as I did. I may not have lived a long life, but the time I had was spent doing what I loved with my precious children, William and Harry.
Princess Diana, what do you think was the most important influence that your family had on you in your life?
My family just made me really, really happy, and they just helped me through everything that I was going through.
Thank you.
And now, famous figure number 7, Mariah Carey.
Darling, has anyone seen my music sheets? Well, anyway, let me introduce myself. I'm Mariah Carey, famous singer, songwriter, and record producer. Let's talk about my life and music career. I was born on March 19th, 1969. I'm the youngest in my family, and I have 2 siblings. My mom was an opera singer and influenced my love for music. There was always a lot of drama when I was younger. Sadly, my parents divorced when I was 3 years old. My childhood is what I like to call messed up. Due to my childhood, I decided to embrace my love for Christmas every year. It did not take long for my impressive 5-octave vocal range to get attention from a big music label, and I released my first album in 1990. Since then, I have won 5 Grammys, 19 World Music Awards, and 15 Billboard Music Awards. I am in the Songwriters Hall of Fame and am called the Songbird Supreme, probably because of my signature whistle notes, which are very high. My music career has allowed me to use my voice for more than just music, such as supporting mental health awareness and helping underprivileged kids at Camp Mariah, which I founded. What am I doing in life today, you say? Well, I stay pretty busy with my twins, rock and roll, working on new songs, collaborating with people for work, and potentially cooking and cleaning when I can find the time, darling. My mental health illness gave me strength to stand up for myself. My childhood has changed the way I choose to parent. I am honored to be an inspiration to millions around the world. Well, darling, I better get back to finding my music sheets. See you next time.
Of all the songs you've written, what is your favorite?
My favorite is, it has to be either Hero, because it was like a big thing. Every people think of it differently. It's very inspirational. It's either got to be that one, or it's got to be All I Want for Christmas Is You, because it's so popular.
Thank you.
Famous figure number 8, J.R.R. Tolkien.
No. Hello. My name is John Ronald Tolkien, or as most of you know me, J.R.R. Tolkien. I was born January 3rd, 1892 at Bloemfontein, South Africa, to English parents. I was rather excited as a 3-year-old to visit my grandparents in England with my mother and my brother Hilary. Our father stayed behind to work, but then we got the news. It was quite unpleasant news. Our father had died of typhoid fever, and we never went back to the place I once thought was home. Mother found us a home at Birmingham and homeschooled me for a few years. Then I was enrolled in the city. I loved school, but the city was lifeless. I found a grassy spot and called it my secret place. Then tragedy struck again in 1904 when I was 12. Mother died of acute diabetes. Hilary and I were orphans. Father Francis Morgan became our guardian. He saw to our schooling and eventually set us up in a boarding house. At said boarding house, I met a girl named Edith Bratt, and we became friends. Father Francis thought she distracted me from my studies, so he separated us and forbade me from seeing her till I was 21. Then war broke out. In 1914, World War I began, and I thought I should do my part, after graduating, of course. I graduated in 1915 and proceeded to enlist in the Army, learn Morse code, and climb the ranks to lieutenant. Oh, remember that girl I met 3 years ago, Edith? I did. And the very night I turned 21, I wrote her, asking her to marry me. To my delight, she said yes, and we were married just before I was deployed again. During the fighting in the trenches, I developed a fever and was sent to the hospital to recover. After I recovered, I left the Army and returned to England, Edith, and our newborn son. I became a lexicographer, which meant I was working on the Oxford Dictionary. As time passed, I became a professor, and I kind of liked writing stories for my kids. One of these stories, published in 1937, was The Hobbit, and it wasn't just my kids who liked it. Many people liked it, and fans wanted more. So I began writing The Lord of the Rings. 17 years later, I finished it, and it was so big, it had to be split into 3 books: The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. Fans ate up all the magic, action, and suspense they had to offer. I was famous, but I was also old. 17 years to write one story is a long time. In fact, I never really stopped writing about Middle-earth, the land for the stories. I died of a bleeding ulcer and chest infection on September 2nd, 1973. I was 81. My final words were, if more of us valued food and cheer and song above gold, it'd be a merrier world. But sad or merry, I must leave now. Farewell.
Is there anybody particularly who is a writer who inspired you towards some of the things you did? Or do you have a friend, a really good friend or something that you could talk literature about with?
Well, when I was in school, I had these friends that they were writers. They were all writers, so we became friends. But when the war broke out and we all fought in World War I, only 2 of us were left.
Thank you.
Famous figure number 9, Miss Jackie Stiles.
Five laps. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Stiles, also known as Jackie. I was born on December 21st, 1978 to Pat and Pam Stiles. My hometown was Coughlin, Kansas. As a junior in high school, I scored 41 points in 17 minutes of the opening game of the season. By the end of my senior year, I was the highest scorer for boys and girls Kansas high school basketball history. After that, I went to college at Missouri State. I was known for spinning jump shots, running layups, and solid three-pointers. I'm the all-time leading scorer for the NCAA Division I basketball history with 3,393 points. My career at MSU culminated in 2001, where I led the Lady Birds to the Final Four appearance in the Sweet 16. I scored 41 points in an 81-71 shocker against the top-ranked Duke. I remained the only woman to score 1,000 points in a single season. I won outstanding awards that year. I won the 3-time Missouri Valley Player of the Year, won the Wade Trophy for the Best College Athlete of the Year, and won the Broderick Cup for the Best Woman Athlete of the Year in 2001. Verizon Academic All-American of the Kodak First Team. After that, I got picked 4th by the Portland Fire. I captured the Rookie of the Year title that summer with a scoring average of 14.9 points. After that, I was named to the WNBA All-Star team and was picked WNBA All-Star player with the scoring average of 22 points of 54% shooting. In 2002, 18 points for the Los Angeles Sparks. I briefly played in an Australian league before retiring in 2006 due to injuries incurred from my training regimen. After that, I was an assistant coach for the Lady Bears. While I was an assistant coach, I had my biggest opponent, which was eye cancer, called ocular melanoma. It was hard because I couldn't do a lot of things, but it didn't stop me. After I was a coach for the Lady Bears, I decided to be an assistant coach for the Oklahoma Sooners. But after I was an assistant coach for both teams, I decided to make my own workout center called Jackie's Fitness Center. So while that is open now, I go around the whole country teaching kids to be better at basketball. 5 more laps. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
What sport did you take up after basketball?
I did tennis and track mostly. Yep.
Famous figure number 10, Miss Betty White.
Oh, hi. I'm
I'm Betty White. I was just petting my dog. I love animals. I'm a Capricorn. Oops, silly me, I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Betty White. I'm a Capricorn and an actress in Golden Girls, Hot in Cleveland, The Toy Story, Lorax, Life with Elizabeth, and many more, but you get the gist. I was born January 17th, 1922 in Oak Park, Illinois. I'm an only child to Christine and Harris White. My full name is Betty Marin White. Shortly after turning 2 years old, I moved to Beverly Hills, California, and I pursued school there until 1939 when I graduated from Beverly Hills High School with my diploma. Growing up, I had always wanted to be an opera singer, and if that didn't work out, a zoologist, or anything with animals, really. But I ended up being an actress. Look at that. In 1941, I helped the military by driving military supplies back and forth. I developed trauma from that, from all the guns and cannons. But then in 1953, I premiered my first sitcom, Life with Elizabeth. Then, in 1960, I met the love of my life, Alan London. After previously being married to Dick Barker for less than a year, and Lane Allen for 2 years. I changed my husband's like I changed my underwear. What can I say? Then in 1961, I revealed my stone in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Then, in 2015, I was the oldest person to host Saturday Night Live. I was still a partier. What can I say? Then, in 2019, I was in Toy Story as a side character, Betty White. I enjoyed that role, but I was just a side character. It was still fun. Then, in 2021, I had a stroke. It was the scariest thing ever. I never had anything like this happen to me. But 1 day passed, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and on the 5th day, I thought I was in the clear. Then, on the 6th day, I sadly passed due to that stroke. My last words were, Alan. I left my money to animal shelters, charity, and my 3 stepkids, David, Sarah, and Martha London. I had to say goodbye to being a philanthropist, an actress, a stepmom of 3, and a wife. Well, bye now.
So, Ms. White, did you like playing a really nice girl or kind of a sassy girl or what?
I was mostly nice, but in some of my roles, I had to be more sassy and spunky.
Famous figure number 11, Sundar Pichai.
Good morning, everyone. Whenever we plan a vacation or write a research paper, we use Google. Let me introduce myself as Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google and Alphabet. I was born on June 10th, 1972, and as a child, I loved playing soccer and cricket. Another thing I used to do was code. My dream used to be an engineer, and now I am. I started my education as a product manager at Applied Materials before I graduated. After I graduated from Wharton School, I moved on and I graduated from Stanford, where I got my MBA. And after that, Google asked me to be the CEO, and I said yes. I helped lead the evolution of multiple things, like Google Chrome, Gmail, Google Docs, Google Drive, and much more. Today, Google has over 271 products, including these. There are more than 8.5 billion searches per day on Google. On Google Maps, there are about 1.6 billion buildings and around 60 million kilometers of roads around the world. Another thing Google Maps has, is eco-friendly routes. These routes stop half of the carbon emission from polluting into the air. And when I was a child, I loved soccer. Soccer was one of my favorite sports. Right now, my kids and I are avid fans of the soccer club FC Barcelona. We watch every game they play. My favorite cricket player is Sachin Tendulkar, while on the other hand, my favorite soccer player is the former Barcelona player, Lionel Messi. My dad was my first inspiration, as he was an electrical engineer. My smartwatch says that it's time for my presentation with AI entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. So I have to get going. Wait, where's my USB? Oh, I forgot. It's okay, it's okay. Hey Google Assistant, can you please send Palm E Robot to get my USB? Thank you. Now that I have my USB, I gotta get going. So, just a quick advice for children or students: believe in your abilities and pursue your luck and dream. Take risks and don't think that failure is not a badge of honor. Of course it is. You can fail whenever you want, but learn from your mistakes and keep going. That's what I learned.
Mr. Pichai, With the future of AI, and since you're one of the leaders of this, what do you think are some of the benefits and maybe dangers of AI?
So maybe that the dangers would be something like if, for example, Tesla puts AI, then God forbid, then the AI will pass the speeding limit or it'll go past stop signs and stuff like that. But the benefits are that it can help with more education. The education is very important that Google can help with, and we use AI with Google, so it can help with education.
Famous figure number 12, Alex Morgan.
One, two, three, four. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I was just practicing for my next big game. My name is Alex Morgan, but my full name is Alexandra Patricia Morgan. But you can call me Alex. I was born July 2nd, 1989 in San Dimas, California. I have two sisters who are Jenny Morgan and Jerry Morgan. My parents are Pamela S. Morgan and Michael T. Morgan. Growing up, I was the youngest of my family, which meant I always got messed around with by my older sisters. Ugh, they're so annoying. I have one child, Charlie. I hope that I inspire her, and not just her, but millions of other people to go after their dreams. I didn't start playing soccer until I was 14. I know, 14. I'm 33 now, which means I've been playing soccer for 19 years. I'm on San Diego Wave FC and USA Women's National Team. I have more than 100 goals, and one of those goals I scored in 12 seconds in a match against Costa Rica. So close to the world record of the fastest goal ever scored. I won a gold medal in 2012 at the London Olympics. I also won a bronze in 2020 at the Tokyo Olympics and Worlds in 2015 and 2019. Yeah, I have a lot of medals. I went to the University of California for college. I studied political economy of industry society. Phew, that's hard to say. Well, I got a little more time. Do you want to learn more about me? Okay, here are some fun facts about me that you may not know. My net worth is more than $3 million. My position is forward striker. My name means defender of humankind. I speak English and Espanol, which is Spanish if you didn't know. My favorite number is 13, which is my number on my jersey. See? My favorite sports to play are soccer and beach volleyball. I have 2 dogs and 1 cat. My cat has 6 toes on each of her paws, which means she has 24 toes. It's pretty cool. Well, I gotta go back to practice. Bye, see you later.
What What do you think you might have done with your life if you had not been such a successful soccer player?
Probably be a soccer coach, just because like coaching and playing soccer just brings me so much joy.
Famous figure 13, Clara Barton.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Clarissa Harlow Barton, but you can call me Clara for short. I was born in North Oxford, Massachusetts on December 25th, 1825, sorry. 1821. My parents are Sarah and Stephen Barton. I have 4 siblings, Sarah, Stephen, Dorothea, and David. I gained an education at local schools and from home tutoring for my older siblings. At a young age, I knew I enjoyed caring for others after my brother, David, was injured and bedridden from falling off of a barn roof. At the age of 18, I became a teacher and taught workers' children at my brother's mill. At the age of 24, I opened up a free public school in New Jersey. For over 15 years as a teacher, I excelled and captured the imaginations of my students. I am one of the most honored women in American history. I was known as the angel of the battlefield because I risked my life to bring resources to soldiers. I was a self-taught nurse who gained important skills while caring for my brother David. This later helped me to take care of soldiers during the Civil War. In the beginning, I helped collect and distribute supplies to soldiers, but then I was not content with sitting on the sidelines, so I used my nursing skills, which even put my own life in danger to help others. During the Battle of Antietam, a bullet whizzed through the sleeve of my dress and killed the man I was helping. In 1865, after the war ended, I worked in the War Department and received many cries for help to find families' loved ones. I helped save 22,000 lives by locating them and reuniting them with their families. On May 21st, 1881, I founded and was the first president of the American Red Cross. In 1882, I helped create a law that we still have to this day that protects the war wounded and civilians in conflict zones. After being the president of the American Red Cross for 23 years, I retired in 1904. During my lifetime, I was awarded national and international honors and received many medals and pins that I wore proudly. One of my most prized possessions was the Imperial Cross of Russia, which I received for my aid during a natural disaster and famine in Russia. After a lifetime of service, I died of pneumonia at the age of 90 at my home in Glen Echo, Maryland on April 12, 1912.
Miss Barton, you seem to have jumped from teaching to nursing like pretty quickly. What was the really inspiring moment that made you do that?
So at the beginning, I knew I wanted to become a nurse because my brother fell off the barn and I helped him and I cared for him for a very long time. And I started teaching, but then I thought it wasn't right. I knew I loved teaching, but then I decided to become a nurse.
Thank you.
Famous figure 14, Queen Victoria.
Andy, you're such a good dog. Life living in a palace is so fun, isn't it? Oh, why hello. Why are you in the palace? Well, while you're here, I'll tell you about my life. My name is Queen Alexandrina Victoria, but you may know me as Queen Victoria. I was born May 24th, 1819. People used to call me the grandmother of Europe. I was born in London, United Kingdom. My mother was Princess Victoria and my father was Prince Edward. I lived most of my childhood in Kensington Palace. My father died when I was quite young. I was his only daughter. After his death, my mother married again and I had 2 half-siblings. As a child, I loved to paint and draw. My first language was German, but when I was young, I learned English. I did not attend a formal school and was taught by palace tutors. I spent my days with my tutors, playing with dolls, and playing with my King Charles Spaniel named Dash. I also loved to go to operas and singing. When I was 18, I became the next monarch. My father had passed away when I was quite young, and his 3 brothers were next in line for the throne. But after their untimely deaths, I was crowned Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. At age 20, I married Prince Albert. While married, I had 9 children. But sadly, in 1861, Albert died of typhoid fever. Though we did not really have a good relationship, I still went into a deep depression that took time to get through. I was the ruler of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Ireland. In 1876, I became the Empress of India. I was the 2nd longest reigning queen. I ruled for 63 years and 7 months. In fact, the Victorian age was named after me. There were a lot of firsts during my reign. I was the first queen to live in Buckingham Palace and renovated it so it was fit for a queen. My uncle William IV lived there prior to me and it needed some revamping. I donated money to the people of Ireland during the potato famine, and I made the single largest donation in history. I lived during the time the train and the telegraph were invented and was the first monarch to ride on a train. I bet you didn't know that the famous ringmaster P.T. Barnum visited the palace with his showman nicknamed Tom Thumb. During my time as queen, I survived 8 assassination attempts. One of my attackers hit me in the head with a cane, and I suffered an ugly bruise and a black eye. The rest of the attempts failed, and the offenders were sentenced to hard labor and banishment. On January 22nd, 1901, when I was 81, I died of cerebral hemorrhage, which is a type of stroke. I died in Osborne House, London, and I'm buried in the Royal Mausoleum. Some of my successes are
the abolition of slavery and workers' welfare, becoming Empress of India, industrial expansion, and economic process. I'm still remembered as being the second longest reigning queen, following behind Queen Elizabeth. I would like to be remembered as a queen who was fun and loving and a powerful monarch. Come on, Dandy, let's go play in the gardens.
In all your years as queen, what was the most difficult thing that you had to deal with?
Well, I became a queen at a pretty young age, and it was pretty hard at first, but as I got older, it became a lot easier.
And now it's famous figure number 15, Coco Chanel.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Coco Chanel. Ravi de vous rencontrer. Oh wait, you can't understand me. Let me speak more style. Hello, my name is Coco Chanel. I am known for being an outstanding women's fashion designer, the founder of Chanel. My full name is Gabrielle Bonheur Chanel, but you know me as Coco. You might be wondering where that came from. Well, I once sang a song about a girl named Coco who had lost her dog. It was a very moving song, so the name stuck. I was born August 19th, 1883 in Saumur, France. I grew up poor in a family of 7. I had 2 sisters named Julia and Antoinette and 2 brothers named Alphonse and Lucien. My 3rd brother died as a baby, leading to my mother's death in 1895. Soon after, my father Albert abandoned us. My siblings and I were then put in an orphanage where we learned to sew. In my early 20s, I moved to Paris and had a Great Dane named Gugo. I took care of my nephew Andre after his mother Antoinette's death. She had committed suicide after 2 failed marriages. I had my first job as a cafe singer, but my true passion was fashion. So on January 1st, 1910, I opened my first boutique. The clothing was unique, and some might say is ahead of its time, but people quickly came to be interested in it. It is said that I met with a psychic, and during our session, she told me the number 5 would lead to my success. I then implemented that into everything in my life. In 1921, I released my trademark perfume, N5. During testing, I smelled 4 other scents, but number 5 stood out. In 1939, World War II had begun. It affected the entire world, including me. Around this time, I met my boyfriend Hans Gunther von Winkledge. He was a Nazi officer. I then became a Nazi spy. Eventually, the word got out that I helped the Nazis, but it did not hinder my business. Being fashionable was more important to my customers. I dedicated my life to perfecting my business. I had no time for kids or marriage. I do not regret my decision. I knew what I had to do to succeed, and that's what happened. I came out with new designs, and Chanel became more popular. It was on runways and people's minds, and now one of the most famous fashion companies today. On January 10th, 1971, I had died peacefully in my apartment. Talking to my maid, my last words were, "You see, this is how you die." I died proudly knowing I successfully changed fashion for the world. And you will find no one else like me, Coco Chanel, because I am an outstanding women's fashion designer.
What chores did you have growing up?
We were told to clean and make the beds and dust the floor.
Now we're ready for famous figure number 16, Mr. George Sternberg.
Good afternoon. Would you like to join me while I uncover this fossil? Hi, I'm George F. Sternberg, and I'm a paleontologist. I was born on August 26, 1883, in Lawrence, Kansas, to my parents Charles and Ann Sternberg. I had 4 siblings, but only 3 made it past 1 year old. At the age of 9, my mother and I went to visit my father where he was working in Logan County, Kansas. Then I made my first ever discovery, a dinosaur called plesiosaur. Then I knew what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I was going to be a paleontologist. My father and uncle were both very well-known paleontologists and helped me become one. In 1907, I married Mabel Schmidt. We had 3 kids, but later divorced. Then, in 1930, I married Anna Ziegler. I worked at Fort Hays State University from 1927 through 1961. I did a lot of traveling as a paleontologist. I went to South America, Canada, and Western U.S. to work. I found a giant buffalo with 6-foot-long horns in Hoxie, Kansas, a triceratops in Wyoming, and many other discoveries. But I was most famous for digging up the fish within a fish fossil in Gove County, Kansas. It was a 14-foot Zophaectinus with a 6-foot Gillicus inside of it. There are a lot of museums with my fossils in it, such as the Sternberg Museum right here in Hays, Kansas, that was named after me and my family after I died, one in Ottawa, Canada, London, England, and Washington, D.C. I helped develop public and educational programs for those museums. I also helped build paleontology and geology collections. I passed away on October 23rd, 1969, in a care home in Hays, Kansas, at the age of 86. But I am still very remembered all around the world to this day.
What do you hope that young people can learn from your life?
I hope they can learn that just never give up and keep chasing your dreams.
We are about ready for our final contestant of this half of the show, after which there will be a very short break. We'll try to close up our gap a little bit, but just everybody, please make sure and stay away from around our judges, who will be doing notes and doing some work through and may want to take a quick run back here to just stretch their legs for a minute. And the parents who have been with the young people for the second half, you go ahead and come down as soon as we finish this first half. But we do have to finish the first half with our contestant number 17, Caitlin Ohashi.
Oh, hi. You won't believe it. I just got a perfect 10 on a floor routine. I am so excited. I should introduce myself. I am Caitlin Ohashi. I'm a gymnast, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I'll tell you how it all started. I was born on April 12, 1997 in Seattle. I'm the youngest sibling with 3 older brothers. My parents' names are Diana and Richard Ohashi. I started gymnastics at age 3. At age 9, I moved to Kansas City, Missouri. At age 12, I made my debut in gymnastics with the 2009 championships. In high school, I moved to Plano, Texas, and continued to compete in gymnastics. At age 15, I won the American Cup. What's that, Coach? I have to do my routine soon? Okay. I just have a few more things to cover. I went to college at UCLA and majored in gender studies and was on their gymnastics team too. I have always looked up to Simone Biles, and we also have a really close bond. Now let's talk about injuries. One time, I broke my neck by doing a beam dismount, and another time, I tore both of my shoulders and had to get surgery. Ouch! In 2013, I had a really mean coach. She thought that was how she was supposed to act as a good coach. She'd say things like, winners make adjustments and losers make excuses, and that I looked like a bird that was too big to fly, and a pig and an elephant. And then I'd look on social media and people would say other body-shaming comments. I started to hate myself. My team lost that year, and my coach realized that that is not how you should act as a good coach. She started to accept my best. I started to really like her as a coach. A lot of people say that there is one gymnastics body and you have to look a certain way to achieve amazing things. I proved that wrong. My biggest accomplishments are getting a perfect 10 on my floor routine in 2019 and winning the American Cup in 2013. I sadly quit gymnastics in 2019, but gymnastics will always stay safe in my heart. You may be wondering, what do I do now? I have been enjoying some quieter parts of my life, and I also got married. Wow, that was a lot of information. I've had a lot of tough parts in my life, doesn't everybody? But that doesn't mean I didn't overcome that. So, what are you going to overcome next? What's that, Coach? Okay, gotta go. Bye.
So, what is your very, very most favorite type of routine to do? Do you have a favorite?
I love to do my floor routine because I get to express my joy and dance and just have a really fun time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, as we said, you've all got about 10 minutes to stretch your legs, but we're going to try to stay on that 10-minute schedule and have our contestant 18 in 10 minutes. Hey, There, yeah, go back there and use the bathroom. Good. We're about ready to get started. Got 17 fabulous contestants left to go. When we are done with those 17, that's when there'll be a bit of a longer break, so you can stretch your legs, hit the bathrooms, whatever, while we tabulate results. And again, when we get to that point, please stay clear of the judging area down here. Their job is hard, as you might imagine, and we just don't want any distractions down here where they're working. But it's going to be a while till we get to that, because right now, we are ready to start our second half, and we kick it off with famous figure contestant number 18, Mozart.
Shoe fly, I'm trying to focus. Okay. Da 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 da. No. No one would want that as their song. Could you guys help me out? No? That's okay. Anyway, I'd like to tell you a story about me. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Hi, my name is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, but for short, you can call me Wolfie. I was born on January 27th, 1756 in Salzburg, Austria. Now, I wasn't an ordinary kid when I was young. When I was 3, my sister, Anna Maria, or Manuel, started playing the clavier, which is kind of like a piano. When she was done taking lessons from my dad, Leopold, I decided to give it a go, and to my surprise, I was good at it. So one day, my dad caught me working on some sheet music for the clavier. He looked at my piece of paper, and he said that was too hard for even him to play. Do you know what I did? I played with ease. So with that, 6 years later, I composed my first melody. People loved it, but didn't believe that I was only 9 years old. So they brought over a man to see if I was, in fact, in my adult life. And guess what? They proved me as a 9-year-old boy. A 9-year-old boy and gone played in front of Vienna royalty. A couple years later, I went on tour across all of Europe. And while doing that, I got my first painted picture of my face. I still composed and went on tour across all of Europe during my teens, but then sadly, in 1778, my mother sadly passed away due to a bad disease. My father blamed me because of her death. He said I wasn't taking good care of her. I don't get it. So I decided to marry Constanze Weber a couple years later. And guess what? He wasn't happy about that either. He said he didn't like the Weber family. Guess what, Dad? I don't care. Sorry, lost control there. Thank God my kids didn't hear that. Oh yeah, speaking of kids, Constanze and I had our first baby of 5. We named him Carl Thomas Mozart. 3 of those babies sadly passed away at infancy. But then also, sadly, 4 years after Carl was born, my dad this time died. He also died of a bad disease. So I was devastated. So the only thing that I could do was compose some more music. I composed my best opera ever, Dio Giovanni. People loved it. And 4 years later, we had our second baby. We named him Franz Xaver. He was a sweet angel, but he didn't get to see me for long. In 1791, I was working on a piece of music, and then I got the rheumatic inflammatory fever. I was bedridden. So a couple days later, I finally finished that song, and then sadly on December 5th of 1791, I sadly passed away due to that stubborn rheumatic inflammatory fever. Even though I passed early, people still know my name by my songs being in TV shows, movies, operas, and even something called Famous Figures. I don't know what that is, but it's such an honor. Hopefully I hope you guys liked learning about me, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Shoe flyer, that's gonna be my new song, Einer kleiner Nachtmusik.
Do you have any regrets in your life?
Any regrets in my life? You know, just to make my dad happy, probably taking more good care of my mother when she was ill.
Thank you. Thank you.
Famous figure number 19, Margaret Brown.
Unsinkable. That's how many describe me, including Hollywood. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world did I get a name like that? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't easy. I'm Margaret Brown, and I was born in 1867 to quite a poor family in St. Louis, Missouri. Perhaps my determination was something I was born with, because at a very young age, I was left all alone in my house and survived a tragic storm. I remained determined throughout many of the challenges I faced in life. I quit grammar school, ran by my aunt, at the age of 13, just to help provide for my family. Even though I didn't go to college, I knew I wanted to do big things, and I did. I married a miner in 1886, Mr. J.J. Brown. When we struck it big with gold and silver, I made sure to stand up for the things that I knew needed to change. And I saw a lot of things that needed to change, just from working in the mines. I had a voice. It was loud and strong, and I used it. I used my voice to fight for women's rights, miners' rights, and labor leaders' rights. I also helped children and those in need. While I had a loud and strong voice, I knew that not everyone did, so I helped others stand up for their rights, even if they didn't think they had a loud voice. Picture this: 5,000 women lined up on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. Most of them dressed in white lace and a sash that said everything we wanted to say that day. You can say a lot without speaking a word. And that is what we did as one of the many, many efforts to get women the right to vote. I helped coordinate that event, and many others too, that gave me the name, the Unsinkable Molly Brown. Perhaps it was the most tragic of all events that I was involved in, that I truly earned the name Unsinkable. I survived the sinking of the Titanic, and then quickly started working to help the survivors that lost their loved ones in the catastrophe. I only lived until the age of 65 due to a terrible brain tumor, but I was proud to carry the name Unsinkable. Oh, looks like the train is almost here. So, before I go, please know, it's not who you are, nor what you have, but what you are that counts. I want to remind you, whether your voice is big or small, you can still stand up for those in need. Au revoir.
Miss Brown, during that terrible tragedy, how many survivors were there? Did you ever hear how many did survive?
I think there was about 868, around that number.
Okay, thank you.
We're ready for famous figure number 20, Abigail Adams. They don't read the same paper. Abigail Adams.
Oh, hello. Come on in. Welcome to the White House. Hello, my name is Abigail Adams, and I was the second woman to serve as First Lady. I was an advocate for getting rid of slavery and letting women have their education and rights. I was born in Weymouth, Massachusetts on November 11th in 1744. As a kid, I would spend all my free time reading or studying. I could never go to school as a kid, and not because we couldn't afford it, but because I was a girl. Instead, my mother homeschooled me. My father was a pastor, and my mother didn't have a job, so she just took care of me, my brother William, and my two sisters, Mary and Elizabeth. Growing up, I watched my neighbor's slaves get beaten after working all day long in fields. My father had 4 slaves named Phoebe, Tom, Cato, and Tower, but he treated them better than other slave owners in our community. When I was 17 years old, I met John Adams and fell in love. Then, when I was 19 years old, we got married on October 24th in 1764. 9 months after that, we had our first child, named John Quincy Adams, who grew to be the 6th President of the United States. We later had 4 more children, named Abigail, Charles, Thomas, and Susanna. My daughter Abigail had the same nickname as me growing up, Nabby. My husband was very influential during the Revolutionary War. While he was away at war, we sent over 1,000 letters to each other. He was elected president in 1796. When I became First Lady, I was nervous that people would not like my strong opinions about political topics. Still with this in mind, I shared my opinions about women's education and rights and my opposition for slavery with my husband, John. I earned the nickname Mrs. President because of how influential I was over John. I lived a long life and died on October 28, 1818, at the age of 73. I am proud of being the second woman to serve as First Lady, being an advocate for getting rid of slavery, and letting women have their education and rights. Now I have to go, but thank you for your time.
Do you know how many women have been like you, Abigail, and have also been the wife of a president and the mother of a president?
Well, I don't know the exact number because I have died and I don't know how many presidents have been after me. But I do know that we should all make a big impact on the world with whatever we have to say.
We're ready for famous figure 21, Mr. John McCain.
Hello, my name is John McCain. I was born August 29th, 1936 in Coco Solo, Panama. My parents are Roberta McCain and John McCain. I attended whenever naval-based school was available since my father and my grandfather were both in the Navy. I began training at Pensacola, Florida, and became a naval aviator. I completed flight school in 1960 and became a naval pilot of ground attack aircraft, and I was assigned to A-1 Skyraider squadrons aboard the USS Enterprise and the USS Intrepid in the Mediterranean and Caribbean seas. In 1965, when I was 28, I married Carol Shep. I adopted her 2 children, Douglas and Andrew. Carol and I then had a daughter whom we named Sydney. Later on, I requested a combat assignment and was assigned to the USS Forrestal. My combat duty began when I was 30 years old, when Forrestal was assigned to a bombing campaign called Operation Rolling Thunder during the Vietnam War. In 1967, when I was a lieutenant commander, I was near the center of the USS Forrestal Fire. I escaped from my burning jet and tried to help another pilot escape when a bomb exploded. I was struck in the legs and chest by fragments. The fire killed 134 sailors and took 24 hours to control. With the Forrestal out of commission, I volunteered for another assignment with the USS Oriskany, another carrier employed in Operation Rolling Thunder. I was taken prisoner of war in 1967. I was flying my 23rd bombing mission over Vietnam when my A-4E Skyhawk was shot down by a missile over Hanoi. I broke both arms and a leg when I parachuted into Troop Bog Lake. Some North Vietnamese pulled me ashore, while others crushed my shoulder with a rifle butt and bayoneted me. From there, I was then transported to Hanoi's main Hoa Lo prison, nicknamed the Hanoi Hilton. I was given a chance to leave when the North Vietnamese discovered that my father was an admiral, but I refused, not unless the other POWs before me came with me. As a result, I stayed. In 1973, I was finally released with 108 others. After I left Vietnam, I attended college, later became the senator of Arizona, and ran for president in 2008 but lost. Sadly, I died August 25th, 2018. Well, I better get going. Don't want to be late for my meeting.
Senator McCain, what do you think you'll be most remembered for?
Probably running for president or being the senator of Arizona.
Thank you.
And now it's famous figure contestant number 22, Pat Summit.
I don't know about y'all, but I want to win a national championship, so y'all better get to work. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I was just coaching my basketball team. My name's Pat Summit. I was born on June 14th, 1952 in Clarksville, Tennessee. I became famous for being known as one of the world's greatest women's basketball coaches. I won NCAA Coach of the Year 7 times. NCAA stands for National Collegiate Athletic Association. But before I get into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life. I grew up on a dairy and tobacco farm with 3 older brothers, Kenneth, Tommy, and Charles, 1 younger sister, Linda, and my parents, Richard and Hazel Head. I spent most of my time doing schoolwork, household chores, and playing basketball games with my brothers. I graduated from Cheatham County High School in 1970. Following graduation, I attended University of Tennessee Martin, where I was a post for the Lady Pacers basketball team. A few years later, I was picked up by the United States women's basketball team, and we won a silver medal in the Summer Olympics in Montreal, Canada. Soon after, I came back to coach the United States women's basketball team, and I led them to a gold medal. I grew up in a time where girls were not encouraged to play sports. I hope I helped pave the way for all girls out there that dream of playing basketball or coaching. Like I once said, change equals self-improvement. Push yourself to places you have not been. Can y'all believe in 1976, Tennessee high school girls basketball players were not allowed to run the full court in games? The state believed that young girls could not do physical activity like running up and down a court. So imagine 3 people playing defense and 3 people playing offense half court. That just seems weird. Well, I think it was weird too. And so did Julia Capes. She was a high school player who filed a lawsuit saying her 14th Amendment allowed for equality. I was an expert witness at this trial, and we got the judge to allow girls to run the full court in games. Thanks to that, a whole lot of girls got college scholarships and got to go on to college to play basketball. Sadly, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 59 in 2011. This would stop my coaching career at Tennessee, but not before Tennessee set the standard of excellence for women's basketball for 3 decades. The Tennessee Vols and I earned 8 NCAA championships, 18 Final Four appearances, and 1,098 victories. I passed away from my disease on June 28, 2016 in Knoxville, Tennessee. I left behind my husband, Ross Barnes Summit, and my son, Tyler. I hope my contribution to women and the game of basketball help women of future generations to come. Thanks for hearing my story.
Pat, whom did you admire the most as you were growing up?
I really admired my mom because she was the one who said, you should play basketball. It's really good and it's really healthy for you. You should do it. And then that's what led me to my career of basketball and coaching.
Thank you very much.
Famous figure 23, Molly Pitcher.
It was a close call. Oh, hello there. Why are you here? I mean, in the war. We've got to be careful out here. The battlefield can be a dangerous place. Why here? I'll tell you about my life. My name is Molly Pitcher, but you may know me as Mary Hayes, or even Margaret Corbin. I was born October 13th, 1754, in Trenton, New Jersey. My parents are Maria, Margatha, and George Ludwig. I had one older brother. His name was Joanne Martin. I got my middle name from my dad's last name. Most of my childhood I grew up on a farm. I did not go to school, as it was common for girls back then to stay home and not go. When I was 15, I had my first and only child, Johannes Hayes. While I was pregnant, I smoked and chewed tobacco. Back then, it was common for women to do this. I had 2 husbands. My first husband was William Hayes. My second husband was John McCloney. My second husband seemed to be mean and had a violent temper. The only job I had was military personnel. I got the nickname Molly Pitcher from when I was in the Battle of Monmouth during the Revolutionary War and found a spring and filled a pitcher with water. My nickname was Molly, and when soldiers needed water, they would yell, "Molly Pitcher." I was a woman during the war, and it was hard for me to help, and I wasn't treated well. I also had a wounded arm that never healed correctly. I saw my husband collapse his cannon and could no longer fight. I dropped my pitcher and took over the cannon and manned the weapon for the remainder of the battle until the cause achieved victory. After the war, I was honored by George Washington and was awarded a $40 annual pension for my contribution to the Revolution. Some people say it was because my husband was a former member of the military. Others say because I, Molly Pitcher, had a positive impact and contributed to American independence. I became a legend and a symbol of female patriotism and courage. I died January 22nd, 1832, in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where a monument was placed to remember my heroic acts in battle. Do you want to stick around a little longer? Grab a picture, follow me.
Miss Pitcher, what advice would you have for young women today?
I would give them advice about that you can do anything no matter how you are treated, and as long as you work your hardest, you can do anything.
Famous figure 24, Hector Moreno.
Oh, hey, I thought this place was for VIPs only. Oh well, now that you are here, let me introduce myself. Hello, my name is Hector Moreno. I was born January 17th, 1988 in Culiacan, Mexico. My height is 6'1". My parents' names are Elcier Herrera and Cesar Moreno, and I'm 36 years old, and I weigh 168. When I was 15, I left my hometown to join Puma's Academy. After my success before my 50th game in Mexican top tier, I was signed by Dutch club AZ Alkmaar. I then played in top European leagues with Espanyol, PSV Eindhoven, Roma. Further on, I played for almost 12 years in top European leagues. I'm one of very few Mexican players. As a child, I was invited to participate at the 2005 FIFA World Cup in Peru. We beat Brazil in the final with a score of 3-0. And I have played 104 games for the Mexican national team. And I'm still playing as one of the most experienced team members. But when I was little, I either wanted to become a baseball player or a singer. I used to listen to banda music, and I supported a local club, Culiacan Tomateros. But as I grew up, I became fond of playing football, like many other Mexican kids. I was really good at center back and defender, and I have a wife and a daughter. My wife's name is Irene Martinez. Also, my nickname is Gashi, which means bringer of peace. And my career started in 2006, and I'm worth $5 million as an athlete. I also used to play for the Netherlands and won 4 medals in my career. I broke my leg twice, and the other teams that I played for was CF Monterrey and, of course, the Mexican national team. And my favorite football cleats are Adidas Predator, and I'm a left-footed player. Also, in my free time, I like to be with my daughter and play with her, or go to the gym, or sleep. Another team that I played for was El Cajafara. And last year, in the 2022 World Cup, Mexico did not cross to the knockout stages due to goal difference. But in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, Mexico has a record of winning it 8 times, the United States 7 times, and Canada only once. And my market value, or how much I get paid, is around 1.50 million euros. Oh, there's the whistle. Hey, see you out there, and wish me good luck. Bye.
What do you hope you're most remembered for?
My talent and my skill.
Famous figure 25, Miss Dolly Parton.
As I walk across the stage, calm and confident, I sing my heart out, knowing that I'll blow the crowd away once more. Oh goodness, you startled me. Well, since you're here, I guess I could tell you about myself. I'm Dolly Rebecca Parton. I was born January 19th, 1946 in Locust Ridge, Tennessee. I was born to Robert Lee Parton and Avie Lee Parton. My family was very poor. They had to pay for my birth with a sack of oatmeal. Even as a young adult, since I was so poor, I'd eat ketchup or mustard. I grew up in a 2-roomed cabin. I was the 4th of 11 siblings. My little brother died when I was a young girl. Otherwise, there would have been 12 of us. I wrote my first song when I was 5 years old, called Tiny Tassel Top. At age 10, I started performing on local radio stations. As I got older, I got interested in acting in movies. You may remember me from a movie called Coat of Many Colors. But sadly, as a young adult, I fell into a deep depression and contemplated taking my own life. But I stopped myself and thought. A while later, I met the love of my life, Carl Thomas Dean. I married Carl in private because I thought people would go away if I was married. A sad thing that I found out, though, is I wasn't able to have kids of my own in 1995. Although things weren't always easy for me, I did have some success in the music industry. Did you know I'm the only country artist who can say I had a top 20 hit on Billboard's Hot Country Songs for 6 decades? My personality is also a fun one. I am very helpful because I donated $1 million to help with the COVID vaccines. I'm also very nice. I do my best to make all my fans happy. Let's talk about some awards I've won. I've won 13 ACMs, 10 Grammy Awards, and 9 CMAs. I also won an award for being very imaginative and creative. Some very cool achievements are being the very first female to receive a platinum album, and I was Entertainer of the Year in 1978. Overall, I have 30 so far. In addition to my awards, I opened up a theme park called Dollywood. Remember that imaginative award? Well, I believe that every child should have books in their home, so I opened up an organization called Imagination Library. It sends a book to any child that signs up. Some things I like to say to my fans are, figure out who you are and do it on purpose. And also, my dream is to make as many people as I could happy in this life. At 77 years old, I'm a famous actor, author, business owner, country songwriter, and singer. But what am I most remembered for is being the most successful female country singer of all time.
Which one of your songs do you think really most characterizes who you really are? It speaks from your heart.
I think I would choose Jolene.
Okay, thank you.
We are ready for famous figure 26, Tad Lucas.
Woo-wee! That bronc sure showed me. Hey y'all, my name is Tad Lucas, and I was the first woman to ride both bulls and broncs. And as you can see, I just fell off of a bronc. Now, let me tell you how this rough and tough cowgirl got a name. I was born in 1902 on September 1st in Coney, Nebraska. I was the youngest and smallest of 24 children. Can you imagine? When I was born, my parents named me Barbara, but my father gave me a nickname, Tadpole, that was then shortened to Tad. I started riding horses before I could walk. When I was 7, I helped my father and brothers tame wild horses. Years passed, then the Great War came. In the middle of the war, I rode bulls to raise money for the Red Cross. Years passed, and in 1921, I got invited to tour with the Wild West Show. And that's when I discovered trick riding. In 1923, I toured the United States, Mexico, and New England. I also got second prize at the Madison Square Garden Rodeo for bronc riding. Soon after, in 1924, I married a rodeo cowboy, James Edward, also known as Buck Lucas. And we had one daughter, Mitzi Lucas. In 1925, Buck and I built a house in the River Oaks with an arena in the back where we trained horses for jumping, trick riding, and bulldogging. Also in 1925, I was named world's champion cowgirl at the Chicago Rodeo. Later, in 1933, I was performing the underbelly crawl at the Chicago World's Fair. Then out of the blue, I fell from my horse and crushed my arm. But after 3 years of being in a cast, I was back in the saddle. But sadly, Buck died in 1960. But I still continued to rodeo. Years passed, and I rode my last bull at age 62. Then sadly, I died on February 23rd, 1990, in Fort Worth, Texas at age 88. After I died, I got my picture in a lot of national cowboy and cowgirl museums. But what I love most is that I didn't quit. So I send you off with this. Keep galloping on your own horse and running your own rodeo. As for me, I've got to get back to this rodeo. See you again, partner.
Tad, do you have any regrets about your life?
I have no regrets about my life because what I did was what I love to do.
Thank you.
Famous figure 27, Helen Keller.
Oh, hi. I was lost in my book. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. On June 27, 1880, in Tuscumbia, Alabama, I was born a happy and healthy baby, later to become both deaf and blind at the age of 19 months due to brain fever. You're probably wondering who I am. Well, I am Helen Keller. My father, Arthur H. Keller, worked for the local newspaper, while my mother, Kay Adams Keller, took care of the home and myself. 2 years later, her duties doubled when my sister Mildred came along. Since I wasn't the biggest fan of having my sister around, I tried to dump her out of her crib when she arrived. I was used to getting my way because I was a very stubborn child and would throw tantrums when I didn't. One of my outbursts even included breaking plates. I grew up on the family farm, Ivy Green, but spent most of my childhood years living in a cottage on the property with my teacher rather than in my family's home. My family was able to find someone for me who was able to help with my disabilities. Her name was Annie Sullivan, who was formerly blind herself. She taught me how to communicate and how to use my manners. I didn't throw near as many tantrums after she started working with me. The first word she taught me was water, which I learned within days despite my hazy recollection of spoken language. My goal was to attend Radcliffe College, and in 1904, I overachieved my goal by graduating from Radcliffe with a Bachelor of Arts degree cum laude, which means I had really good grades. In doing so, it made me the first deaf-blind person to earn a college degree. I went on to write many articles and published 14 books, including probably the most popular title, The Story of My Life. There was also a movie made about me, Deliverance, to dramatize the dilemmas of being blind. Other accomplishments of mine include co-founding the American Civil Liberties Union as well as the Helen Keller International Organization. Also, for my work advocating for civil rights, women's suffrage, and the blind, I was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize in 1953. Annie stuck with me until I was 56 when she suffered a heart attack and died on October 20th, 1936 at the age of 70. She was the closest thing to having my own family because I was never married, although I did fall in love with Peter Fagan. However, my family was determined I was not to marry him. For this reason, I never had any children either. Additionally, one of my dear friends was Mark Twain, who you may know was a great author. The last chapter of my life took place on June 1st, 1968 in Easton, Connecticut, where I died in my sleep due to complications from strokes I had previously had in 1961. I am remembered for my many accomplishments as a deaf-blind person, but I hope I have inspired people to chase their dreams because anything is possible through hard work and determination. Well, I'm going to get back to reading my book. Thanks for listening to the story of my life.
Helen, what in your life do you think helped you decide to start the American Civil Liberties Union?
I think I started it because when I learned that I was able to accomplish things even though of my disabilities, it inspired me to help other people achieve their goals too. So I started the American Civil Liberties Union to help people with that.
Thank you.
We are ready for famous figure 28, Mr. John Madden.
All right, now, what happens is the linebacker rushes the quarterback. The offensive line isn't set up to block the linebacker, so the linebacker gets to the quarterback, and then boom! The linebacker forces the fumble. This is a great play design by a great coach like me. I'm John Madden. I was born April 10th in 1936 in Austin, Minnesota. I was raised by my parents Earl and Mary Madden. When I was young, my family and I moved to Daly City, California. I attended high school at Jefferson High. There, I did basketball, football, and baseball because I was in love with sports. I got a scholarship to do football from the University of Oregon. Go Ducks! Sadly, a knee operation kept me out of playing varsity football for them, and for me, that was a really big deal. Soon after, I decided to leave Oregon and get an education degree. I went to 2 different schools for that degree, and then transferred to a school in California to continue football. There, I was a defensive and offensive tackle. I married Virginia Fields and had 2 sons, Joe and Mike. After college, I was drafted in the NFL in 1958 by the Philadelphia Eagles. I was so excited to play in the NFL. Sadly, another knee injury kept me out of playing football for them. Then I decided to become a coach. I coached the Oakland Raiders and was given a head coaching job in 1969. As a coach, I won the Coach of the Year on my rookie season. I won the Western Divisional title 7 times. I went to the playoffs 8 times, including winning a Super Bowl. And I won 10 games or more for 7 seasons. Not to brag, but I had the best winning percentage out of any NFL coach. I only lost 32 games out of my entire career. After coaching, I retired and became an announcer. I broadcasted for CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports, the 3 biggest broadcasting companies. People loved watching me announce because I was funny and made loud sounds, like boom. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006. Finally, all my hard work had paid off. Sadly, I died of undisclosed causes at the age of 85 on December 28th in 2021. My legacy moves on through the Madden video game, which has helped kids learn how to play football. I have inspired people to try sports, and because of me, we have the next generation of football players. I did so many things that not many other people have been able to do. I, John Madden, was a player, a coach, and an announcer. Now, I gotta get back to explaining this play.
Coach Madden, was there anything you wanted to accomplish that you didn't get to? Seems like your plate's pretty full there.
I wish I could have done more in my player career, but because of injuries, it stopped short.
Thank you.
Famous figure 29, Martha Washington.
Welcome to our home at Mount Vernon. Here, help yourself to some treats and stay a while. Hello, my fellow citizens of the colonies. I'm Martha Washington. I was born June 2nd, 1731. I was born at Chestnut Grove Plantation, Virginia. I grew up in Virginia, and my parents had 10 kids. I was just one of lots and lots of children. I had 4 sisters and 5 brothers. It was very hectic in our home. My family was very wealthy, and we owned a very large plantation. Growing up, I had lots of hobbies. I enjoyed cooking, planting vegetables, sewing clothes, riding horses, playing the spinet, which was a type of piano, and dancing. I was the oldest of all my siblings, but I was only 5 feet tall. I did not have any formal education, and I was homeschooled. My family thought education was important and made sure I was taught traditional skills such as cooking, sewing, running a household, and the fine arts. My mother was my instructor. I married at the young age of 18 to my first husband named Daniel Parker Custis. He was the owner of a large plantation, but his health was not good, and sadly, he passed away 8 years later.
We had 4 children, but only 2 survived. I became a very wealthy widow when he passed away and owned one of the largest plantations in Virginia. George Washington became my second husband after Daniel passed away. He had been a general in the Revolutionary War and was thought of as a hero. He later then became the first president of the United States, which made me the first lady. People called me Lady Washington. George and I didn't have any children, but we raised my children from my earlier marriage. I was known for having gatherings, entertaining, and I was thought of as one of the most welcoming first ladies in history. I made socks for the soldiers and I raised money for other supplies. I never had a chance to live in the White House because it was not finished while George was president. So instead, we lived in our plantation at Mount Vernon on the Potomac River. While George was serving in the Revolutionary War, we sent letters back and forth. After he died, I burned the letters to keep our life private. Sadly, I died May 22nd, 1802, at Mount Vernon, Virginia, at the age of 70. I passed away because of a severe fever. I would like to be remembered as a kind and welcoming First Lady who paved the way for other women. I had no example to follow, and I did my best to represent the new country of the United States.
How important was your family in terms of what you became?
My family is very important because they helped me get through the first part of my life whenever my first husband died. And they were a big support for me whenever I got married for my second time.
Famous Figures contestant number 30, Ansel Adams.
Oh, hi, I'm Ansel Adams. I'm a famous photographer. I guess I could tell you a little bit about myself. I was born February 20th, 1902, in San Francisco, California. My mother was Olive Bray Adams, and my father was Charles Hitchcock Adams. I'm an only child. As a child, I was kicked out of many schools for bad behavior. A little later after that, I found out I had dyslexia. At age 12, I started homeschooling. Because of that, I had very few friends. When I was 4, I broke my nose in the Great Earthquake, which permanently made my nose crooked. I began loving nature as a child. This led to my passion for photography. I am famous for the monolith. I took it in 1927 at Yosemite, California. I developed the zone system. Here, let me explain it to you. It is a 0 to 10 system. If you get rid of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 will be brightest. If you get rid of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be darkest. 0 is white, 0 is black, 10 is white. This is a process of exposure. I also received many awards. Here are some facts about me. I'm 5'8". I took over 1,369 photos. I received the Medal of Freedom. I had too many photos to print, and oh yeah, one of my photos sold for $988,000, and my favorite place to photograph was Yosemite, California. I married my wife, Virginia, in 1928 and had 2 children, Annie and Michael. I believed in air, stones, water, soil, people, their future, and their fate. I am also famous for my photo of Granite Summit. On April 22nd, 1984, at the ripe old age of 82, I died in the hospital of Carmel, California, of heart failure. Well, I better go. Just remember, there's nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. Bye.
So that must have been some photograph that cost that much. What made it different from your other ones?
It was the moon in the half dome, and I caught it at the perfect moment where the moon was just over the half dome.
Yeah, thank you.
Now it's time for famous figure contestant 31, Mr. Steve Irwin.
Isn't he a beauty? Crikey! You guys spooked me. G'day, I'm Steve Irwin, and I was looking for some crocodiles to save. What's that? You want to learn about my life? Well, all right. Hey, Wes, tell the camera crew to take a break. I'll be there in a couple of minutes. It started when I was born on February 22nd, 1962. To my parents, Bob and Lynn Irwin, I have 2 sisters, Joy and Mandy, and I was a handful according to my parents. I grew up in Upper Ferntree Gully by Melbourne, Australia. While most kids were playing with toys, I, however, was learning many different reptiles and even got my first python when I was 5. When I was 7, my family and I moved to Queensland to start up a reptile park, which had been a dream of my parents. When I was 9, I caught my first crocodile and have been in love with these creatures ever since. After I graduated high school, I immediately went to my parents' reptile park to help out. When I was 29, on a summer day during a crocodile show, I met the love of my life, Terry. A couple of months later, in 1992, in Eugene, Oregon, we got married. 3 months later, we started our first show, The Crocodile Hunter, which was a big success. The show is a documentary educating viewers about many different animals and their habitats, with the main focus on reptiles. My life got even better in 1998 when we had our first child, Bindi Sue Irwin. In 2003, we had our second child, Robert Clarence Irwin. On September 2006, tragedy hit. You see, when my camera crew and I were heading to Bat Reef, an island in Australia, to get some footage of some stingrays, I got a little too close to one and it started stabbing me with a stinger. My crew started CPR and rushed me to a nearby island, but it was too late. The medical staff pronounced me dead. But don't worry, my legacy is carried on by my family who continues to run the reptile park and educate the world about these amazing animals. I help the world see why animals should be respected and left alone. That pretty much sums up my life. Now I gotta get back to saving these crocodiles. I hope you have more respect for these amazing animals and give them some space the next time you encounter one. Just remember, we're all on the same earth.
What do you find so fascinating about reptiles?
Because reptiles are like ancient creatures that came back from the dinosaurs. They came back from millions of years ago.
Thank you.
And we now are ready for famous figure 32, J.K. Rowling.
That's rubbish. Oh, you're here. Well, since you're here now, let me tell you a bit about myself. My name is J.K. Rowling. I was born on July 31st, 1965 in Gloucestershire, England. Growing up, I had a little sister named Diana. Me and Diana would make up games and stories together, but like any siblings, we got into fights. During one argument, I may or may not turned a battery at her forehead and it left a permanent scar. When my mum found out, she said, "Why in the world would you do that?" I said, "I thought you'd duck." That only got me into more trouble. In grade school, I wasn't a good student. I liked to daydream and tell stories to my friends. One teacher I had said kids depended on how smart she thought they were. If she considered you bright, you sat close to a desk. If she considered you dim, you sat farther away. I sat so far I could sit on the playground. In high school, the teachers appointed me head girl. Head girl and head boy make sure the class doesn't go crazy when the teacher leaves the classroom. In 1990, I was going to visit my parents. On the train ride there, this boy popped into my head. He had a lightning bolt scar across his forehead. Then his name came to me, Harry Potter. And that's how it all started. But right after I started writing, my mum died of multiple sclerosis, which is a disease of the brain and spinal cord. I was sad that she would never see what I accomplished, but I kept on writing. Then, one day in June, a few years later, I did it. I finished the first Harry Potter book. Harry Potter, though, got rejected by 12 different publishers before Bloomsbury Publishing accepted it. A few years later, I was ready to publish the second Harry Potter book. On a trip in Edinburgh, I was in my hotel room writing when I did it. I finished the last Harry Potter book. I wrote, J.K. Rowling finished Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows in this room on January 11th, 2007 on a sticky note. That sticky note is still there today. For my writing, I have published over 40 books. I have won over 30 awards, such as Author of the Year. I've started a charity called Lumos, which helps kids in orphanages find a family. Most of my books have been turned into successful movies, such as Harry Potter. I was asked to play Lily, Harry's mother, but I said no. I'm a writer, not an actor. Now I live in Edinburgh, UK, with my husband and my youngest daughter, Mackenzie. Oh, look at the time. Thank you for coming by. I must get back to my writing now.
Miss Rowling, what's your favorite Harry Potter character?
Well, Hermione Granger is based off of me, but it kind of verifies. So sometimes I really like Harry because he was the first idea for the book, but it just always depends.
It's time for famous figure number 33, Mr. Benjamin Franklin.
Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I learn. I, ladies and gentlemen, am Benjamin Franklin. I was born the 15th child of candle and soap maker Josiah Franklin on January 17, 1706. My mom was Abiah Folger. Growing up was tough, lying on my dad's shop. Growing up, I had 16 siblings. That was a lot. I loved reading and writing as a kid, even though I had to stop from schooling at just the age of 10. With no school to go to, I worked at my dad's shop. Then, by the age of 12, I was ready to apprentice at the print shop my brother James ran. I learned a lot about the business. I was very mistreated. I would be beat if any mistake occurred, so I fled. I fled Boston even though I had 3 legal contract years left. This meant if I got caught, I would be in serious trouble. When I fled, I was at the age of just 17. I escaped to New York before settling in Philadelphia. Then, in 1729, I bought the Pennsylvania Gazette from a former boss. I turned one of the worst print shops into one of the best. Then, in 1730, I took Deborah Reed as my common-law wife. Then, later in that year, I fathered a son, William, out of wedlock. Then, 2 years later, me and my wife had our first son, Francis, but he would sadly die just 4 years later of smallpox. I loved writing, and I published my first edition of Poor Richard's Almanac on December 19th, 1732. It was 24 pages long, and it was filled with calendars, phases of the moon, weather predictions, and more. I also throughout my life, I was an inventor, yet I didn't patent any of my inventions. I'll tell you a few of my most famous ones. I was inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame for my wooden swim fins. Glasses today are newer models of my bifocals, and the lightning rod is still being used today to prevent lightning strikes on modern buildings. Then, in 1752, I conducted my famous kite and key experiment to prove that lightning was electricity. This led to me inventing the lightning rod I talked about earlier. Then, in June 1775, the Battle of Lexington and Concord was fought. This sparked the start of the Revolutionary War. I was inducted into the Second Continental Congress as first Postmaster General for the colonies. Then, in June 1776, Thomas Jefferson, Sam Adams, and I drafted the Declaration of Independence. Then, July 4th, 1776, I signed the Declaration of Independence to prove that I, Benjamin Franklin, was an American. I am the only founding father to have signed all 3 key documents freeing the United States from Great Britain. The 3 were the United States Constitution, the Treaty of Paris, and last and most important, the Declaration of Independence. Finally, the war is over. The colonies had won our freedom and peace. But my life was slowly declining. My last word stated, a dying man can do nothing easily. Percy got to me on April 17th, 1790. I lived for an amazing 84 years. The words on my tombstone state this: the body of B. Franklin, printer, like the cover of an old book, its contents torn out and stripped of its lettering and gilding, lies here, food forms. I achieved so much as a human that my face is on the $100 bill.
Do you have any regrets in your life, Mr. Franklin?
It would probably be leaving my brother's print shop because I feel like I could have learned a little bit more about the business.
Thank you. We are about ready for our final famous figure contestant today. And again, when this contestant finishes her performance, the lights will come up. You guys can take a little bit of a break. It will be at least 15 minutes for the judges to finish what they're doing, for me to tabulate those results, between 15 and 20. So stretch your legs, move around. As soon as we can, we will do our awards ceremony. So that will be happening in, like I said, about 20 minutes from now. But we can't do that till we wrap up this incredible group of young talent today. So now we are ready for our famous figure contestant, number 34. Let's hear it for Amberly Snyder.
Here she comes, down the alley. The time to beat, 18.2 seconds. I hear the announcer say, 125 feet to the first rail, 156 to the next. Finally, third rail, untouched. In the end, will I beat the top score? Amberly, Amberly, Amberly. Half of the crowd chants, power, power, power. The other half of the crowd chants, I look up to see my name on the top of that scoreboard. I wait, I see it, I beat it. 13.2 seconds. Surrounded by Haley Kinsel, Jordan Briggs, and Brittany Posey-Tenosi, I get first place at the National Finals Rodeo and barrel racing, of course. And on day 10 is presented a check totaling $187,200. Next to Sissy Wynn and her horse Chewy, I stand. People rush into me one by one just to get my autograph. Why, hello there. I was just remembering one of the best days of my life. I suppose I have time for a quick story. I, Amberly Lana Schneider, was born on January 29, 1991, to Corey and Tina Schneider, alongside my siblings, Ashley, JC, Taylor, Aubrey, and Autumn. I am the second oldest of 6 kids. In 1994, at the age of 3, I began riding lessons on my first horse, Legacy. 4 years later, my family and I moved to Utah. In 2007, I qualified for the National High School Finals Rodeo. I also won the Little Britches Rodeo that same week. In 2009, my last year of high school, I qualified for I was elected the Utah FFA state president. Can you believe this? Me, Amberly, in charge of so many things? When I was little, I always thought that I had a perfect life. But one day, things may not always be the same. One morning in January, I was on my way to the Denver Livestock and Rodeo Show when I suddenly looked down at my map, which caused me to fling out of my Ford F-150. When I woke up, I heard the doctors talking about how I would be paralyzed for the rest of my life and in a wheelchair. 4 weeks later, I began physical therapy in my wheelchair. But after a year of physical therapy, I was able to ride and train again. And now, I get to do my Wheelchair Wednesday videos, which consists of this trick. And being one of the top 8 barrel racers isn't that easy. Oh no, I'm out of time. I hear the announcer calling my name. I'm off to win another world title. Bye.
How did you train your horse after you could no longer control the horse with your legs?
So, I strapped my legs to the saddle with the help, and my horse, since I've been communicating with him for so long, he knew how to do it even when I'm not talking to him or using my legs. I could basically just use my hands, which basically made it the easiest thing I can do for him and for myself.
Thank you.
Everybody stretch your legs. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes. Stay away from the area of the judges, but you can move around at least 15 minutes before we're ready for the awards ceremony. The kids from the first half that were upstairs watching their fellow contestants, please come down to the dressing room now. We're going to get our big group photo before we start our awards ceremony in 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to be bringing our contestants back out here in just a couple of minutes. They're making their way back. We have the results tabulated. Oh my goodness, was there a lot of close scoring. And so if everybody will take their seats, we're going to be ready to hand out some medals and some trophies to some incredibly deserving young people in a minute. Yeah, they get in line over there. Just hang on a second, kiddos. Sharon and Ann, you'll come out here. Or if you want to be there with the kids, Ann, you can be there with the kids. Sharon, you'll come over here. And before we do start, though, I again want to say thank you to our judges, Linda Holman, Marianne Thompson, Janice Lee, Alex Underwood, Deborah for keeping the timing for us, to Sharon and Ann for all their work backstage today, to Luke and Troy up there in the booth who've been taking care of everything for us technically. Appreciate it so much. The parents that have helped and the schools that have been here to support it, the Tiger Media Network, and Luke LeCount and Beat Schmidt for getting the live feed going. We'll have that posted after the links, so you can rewatch anybody's performance again. I'll try to make it code specific with times, so you can watch it whenever you want. But one big thank you that I needed to get out there is a big thank you to the Hayes Rotary Club. The Hayes Rotary Club takes on this project. The civic organizations here in town, the Kiwanis, Optimus, and Rotary, are wonderful supporters of the programming that we do. And this is the project that Rotary has hung their hat on. And so that enables us to do what we do, get trophies, get medals, take care of what the judges' needs are, all that good kind of stuff. And so I'm really, really grateful. So let's hear it for the Hayes Rotary Club. Yes. And I also do want to give another big round of applause to the volunteers that have been here helping today, to the judges and timers. They had a tough, tough, tough job. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you. And I did want to make sure and mention before we get to the end, you can take whatever photos you want as students are coming out. They're going to come to the center when I read it, and the medal's going to be placed around their neck. Then they'll be going and getting in line. But great photo op for anybody who wants that. And all of the young people that win trophies are invited to join us at the Rotary Club meeting next Monday at the Rotary Club meeting to do their performances live for the Rotary Club, which I get excited about because then I'm able to actually watch instead of taking care of business over there. So I'll send a note out to all the schools. I'll send you all that info. But Monday noon at the Hayes Rotary Club at the press, we'll be showing off what happened here today. But first, we're going to show off a whole bunch of really great kids. And I do want to acknowledge that this has been a wonderful group, not only in the way they performed on stage, but the way they performed off stage. You all have every reason to be very proud of these young people. I certainly am for being here representing them. So yeah, they're wonderful. We'll get them all around again here in a little bit. But let's bring out, so you guys can see what went on here. We are going to first introduce you to famous figure contestant number 1, who was from Wilson School, Josh Salida. Come on out here, Josh. Josh performed as Cristiano Ronaldo. Congratulations, Josh Salida from Wilson. And Josh, you come right over here, buddy. You start the lineup for us. It's always tough being the first contestant, and Josh was a great, brave soul who took care of business for us. Famous figure contestant number 2 from O'Laughlin, J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, Braylon Dumbler. Braylon, come out. Congratulations, Braylon, good job. Famous figure contestant number 3 was from Roosevelt. It's Sloan Hill as Helen Keller. Famous figure number 4 is Weston Unrein from Holy Family as Bob Ross. There you go, we like a challenge, Sharon. Famous figure number 5 was from Lincoln, Kaylee Jackson as Cleopatra. Contestant number 6 was from Ellis, Princess Diana by Lux Bell. Contestant number 7 was from Wilson, Ruby Connor as Mariah Carey. Contestant number 8 was from Victoria as J.R.R. Tolkien, Mason Goff. Contestant number 9 was Jaden Han from St. Mary's at Ellis as Jackie Stiles. Contestant 10 was from Roosevelt, Sarah Shippers as Betty White. Contestant 11 was from O'Laughlin, Ibrahim Cameron as Sundar Pichai. Contestant 12 was from Lincoln, that's Camden Oddie as Alex Morgan. Number 13 was from Holy Family, and that's Hannah Flax as Clara Barton. Number 14 was Haley McMillan from Ellis as Queen Victoria. Number 15 was Isla Herbert from Roosevelt as Coco Chanel. Number 16 is Liam Sullivan as George Sternberg from O'Laughlin. Number 17 from Wilson, Bethany Iden as Caitlin Ohashi. Number 18 as Mozart, Colt Rodas from Roosevelt. Number 19 from Wilson as Margaret Brown, Sabri Van Kooten. There you go. Number 20 from O'Laughlin, Robin Smalley as Abigail Adams. '21 was from St. Mary's at Ellis, Caleb Shield as John McCain. Okay, yeah. And we will have you, Caleb, we'll have you come over to this side when you get your medal. We want to make sure everybody can be seen. You just stand right here, bud. And let's see here. Then we move on to 22 as Pat Summit. It was Micah Schoaf from Holy Family. '23 came to us from Ellis. Lana Guffey is Molly Pitcher from Ellis. Lana. 24 came to us from Lincoln, Brandon Cano as Hector Moreno. '25 from Roosevelt was Anaya Lynch as Dolly Parton. Right there next to her. Right here. Number 26 from O'Laughlin, it was Gracie Hurl as Tad Lucas. Contestant 27 came from Victoria, and that was Kinley Nuss as Helen Keller. Contestant 28 was from Wilson, that's Tayton Mayfield as John Madden. Contestant 29 from Ellis, it's Lindley Gable as Martha Washington. Contestant 30 was from Lincoln, and as Ansel Adams, Lila Denham. Contestant 31 was from Wilson, as Steve Irwin, Caden Giebler. Contestant 32 was from Holy Family, as J.K. Rowling, Madeline Corsair. Contestant 33 from O'Laughlin is Benjamin Franklin. It was Owen Beaker. And our final contestant, number 34 from Roosevelt, Brinley Walter is Amberly Snyder. get a shot here? Okay, right there, you're good. Just a nice shot of everybody. Make sure you can see me. Yes, stick your heads out there. So proud of you all. Let's have a big hand for all of these before we do our awards. These guys were awesome and amazing. I mean, think about it. You adults that are out there, how many of you would have had the courage and the confidence and the skill to do what they did on stage? You guys all are to be applauded. I know it's only going to be so many trophies, but you guys were amazing. Any one of you could be walking away with something, which is why we wanted you to have the medals. The back of their medals say, Famous Figures Finalist 2023, and the drama masks are on the front, because they all came out of their schools and classrooms in a competitive format. So they have been pretty stinking brilliant. So one more round of applause for the entire bunch, please. Okay, and now what we've all been waiting for, the trophies. Well, I got some news here. We start out right away with 5th place, a 6-way tie. So we don't break ties. We just buy more trophies. Because there was a few contestants that felt similar, but then there were so many of them that you guys just were all over the place, which is why we have 4 judges. So that there is this, because different things speak to us at different times. And so you guys, I know how hard you worked when I looked at what was going on here. But we do have 6 people who are going to get a trophy for 5th place. Only one will get it today. The cool thing is, the other 5 of you, so Janice, we're just gonna have to start early at Rotary. That Rotary meeting's gonna have to kick off. You guys better eat fast. So the other 5 will get your trophies on Monday, so that's really cool. You'll get a second presentation. But we will have our first one of our 5th place awards, and that is going to contestant number 31, Caden Giebler as Steve Irwin from Wilson. So you can take that in a second. Yeah. And you stand, yep. Just line up right about here, Caden. We'll put you right over here. Yeah, because we're going to get all of you up here. We got a slew this year. Okay. And then we have another 5th place award, and again, you'll get your trophy on Monday, and that is to contestant 25, Anaya Lynch as Dolly Parton. Our third 5th place award goes to number 22 from Holy Family, Micah Schoaf as Pat Summit. Then we have, yeah, I didn't expect this. We haven't had this many ties. Contestant 20 from O'Laughlin, Robin Smalley as Abigail Adams. Then that's our fifth place winner, is number 17, Bethany Iden as Caitlin Ohashi from Wilson. And our 6th award in 5th place goes to number 8 from Victoria, Mason Goff as J.R. Token. Okay, you go line up right over there, Mason. These are your 5th place award winners, and they were pretty awesome. The good news is we don't have any more ties, so everybody gets a trophy from here on out. No, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to 4th place. Our 4th place famous figure trophy winner this year is contestant number 19 from Wilson as Margaret Brown Sabry Van Kooten. Okay, and then in 3rd place, from Wilson, contestant 7, Ruby Connor as Mariah Carey. Our 2nd place winner this year from O'Laughlin as Tad Lucas, Gracie Earl. And your 1st place famous figure award winner for 2023 as Mozart Colt Raudes from Roosevelt. Okay. That is a lineup of awards. Okay, move in, Colt. I need to get okay, scoot down. You guys get smooshed together. Smoosh, smoosh. Over, over, over. So I can, over. Now look at me. I give a lot of orders up here. Awesome. You guys, this was amazing. All of you were amazing. This is just how a competition works. Congratulations to you guys. We'll see you Monday at Rotary. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Rotary. Thank you guys up there. Thank you. And have a wonderful day, everybody. And we'll see you next year for Famous Figures 2024. You guys, everybody can stay put. Anybody who wants to take pictures now on stage, you want to come up here and take a school group or your own children or whatever you want, you can do it. We're not going to push anybody out too fast. And then everybody can go get their goodies and take off. But yep, anybody that wants to come up and get photos, please do whatever you like. So if you want a group, if you want to break it up, yep, if somebody wants to get a school, if you want to find your families, you guys were amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.